You have unread texts from Golf Buds. Would you like me to read them?
Yes.
Okay. Johnny says, what are the nicotine pouches you had on the course? Walker says, 8 milligram on nicotine pouches. Billy says, I love the mint one.
I like that one.
Walker says, me too. By the way, you both stink at golf. LOLOL.
Come on. Carry on nicotine pouches. Shop now at onnicotine.com/group text. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Welcome to the Mid-Week Tease with me, Adelle Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, let's talk about this overwhelm thing. I don't even know if that's the word. It just feels like so much is happening at the same time, all around us. My goodness. How are you coping? And for those who are not in Kenya, I feel like it's the same as well, because it just feels like there's a lot of revolt and rebellion, which is good, happening at the same time around the world. There's that. Then there's a lot of anguish and pain when you look at areas where there's actual wars happening, and it's been that way consistently for a while. It feels overwhelming. Actually, yes. The word is the word is overwhelm. It also doesn't help that we're in this information age where every second of every day we know what's happening everywhere around us. And sometimes not because you were seeking that information, but it kind of just pops up. There's like a lot of nuances around even just how algorithms work. Like, you will be shown content that will get a reaction out of you. And many times it's what's negative or what's polarizing, right? Yeah, that feeling, that sigh is what I've been trying to do. It kind of is like clearing the energy from within. So I had a completely different midweek tease lined up for you for this week, and it'll come another week. I just thought it's more important to focus on staying sane in the chaos. You know, what does your mental wellness look like during political unrest? And so this is for anyone feeling overwhelmed, helpless, anxious, or even angry. Oh, I was so angry yesterday. I thought maybe I should share some practical ways to protect your mental wellness while still staying informed and doing your part, right? Because you can. Because you can. All right. I feel like the first thing that really matters is to validate your emotions. As I said yesterday, I was so angry. And personally, my relationship with anger is complicated. So whenever I feel anger, my immediate reaction is to run away because it's so uncomfortable for me. There's that. I also felt scared and like out of control. Imagine, even during these terrible political affiliated issues that we're going through, I felt so out of control. There was a moment I felt like I was a small girl again, because I had this overwhelming sense of wanting my parents, and if you don't know, both my parents passed away. By 23, I'd lost both my mom and dad. I'm 36 now. And so, like, I don't remember ever feeling that feeling in such a heavy, potent way. But looking back, which was just yesterday, it was more feeling like I have no control over what was happening in the moment in my country, and then feeling so unsafe and so vulnerable, left outside hanging to dry. It was, But I think it's important to validate the emotions. I think like when you run away from them, or you keep busy, or you don't acknowledge that you're feeling heartbroken, you're feeling scared, you're frustrated, you're just numb, you are not processing it. These are normal feelings because we're watching violence, we're watching injustice, we are witnessing pain, and it's in our home. This is our country, you know? So I don't think it's fair for you to gaslight yourself into thinking I should be stronger or other people have it worse. Like, validate the emotions. That's like a huge part of it. And so I kind of like looked for what are some wellness or grounding exercises that may help. Deep breaths always works for me. As someone who battles anxiety, deep breaths, deep breaths. And so there's one that I'd heard about on another podcast. It's like 444. So you breathe in for 4, you hold the breath for 4 counts, and then you breathe out for 4 counts. So as you're listening to this, maybe we can do that together. All right. Although I don't know how I'm going to count because like I'll be holding my breath, but let's try it. Let's try it. Breathe in. So I did the breathe in for 4, held for 4, out for 4. And you can repeat it more and more. I don't know if it works for you, but for me, when I do my deep breaths, like I just feel the tension in my gut start to like fizzle out, you know? That really helps in grounding for overwhelming emotions. I hope it helps for you. There's also the element of wanting to stay informed, right? But how can you do that without feeling overwhelmed? There's always breaking news, there's viral videos, there's a lot, right? I had slipped up on this, but now I'm going to do it. I have to set a news boundary, right? And that means I check the news at 1 or 2 or 3 set times during the day. And I also have to avoid doom scrolling late at night. I remember watching a video about this, like comparing the information age we're in now with like back in the day when we were younger or our parents' time. In Kenya, there was 1 o'clock news that hardly had anything really, especially when we were under the Moi regime, who was like dictator. I feel like what I remember from the 1 o'clock news is just like, basically it was a vlog of what he was doing, you know, which is just so sad. But yeah, 1 o'clock news. Then there was 7 o'clock news, which wasn't so long. I feel like it was 30 minutes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember the first comedy, because comedies and like sitcoms would come after the 7 o'clock news. The first one would start at 7:30. So I feel like 7 o'clock news was about 30 minutes on average. And then the longer news was 9 o'clock, which was like an hour. And so I think what would happen is your mind then knew you were prepared to ingest the news, no matter how traumatic or crazy. You weren't 1 minute looking at a skincare routine and then scrolling and finding that people have been bombed and then scrolling and finding, you know, a new recipe. You know what I mean? Like with the set times, you kind of knew, okay, I'm in the mood to receive the news. What's happening in the world, no matter how good it is, no matter how bad it is, you know? The other thing that I need to be careful about, especially with Twitter, because I'm still on there, is follow trusted sources. So picking 1 to 2 verified journalists or platforms. So yes, there's the issue of avoiding misinformation, very important. But I think more than that is so that you avoid trauma porn, right? Like with Twitter, they have a curated, what are they called? Homepage or whatever, or like timeline for you. And then there's the one based on who you follow. I found that I've been on the one that they curate, which again goes back to my point, like how the algorithm works. You will constantly see only what will elicit a reaction from you, right? And then you have no control. All right. So it can't be from your trusted sources or your 1 or 2 verified journalists, right? So that's the change I have to make. And then you have to mute or unfollow accounts that amplify anxiety, because it's very important to protect your mental space. I've found that there's some especially with that like Twitter curated timeline, there's some pages I've been muting because they shame Kenyans in how they phrase what's going on. You know, it'll be like, and then you guys are going to go and vote for this. And I don't resonate with that. I think something that has become a key value, I think, for me is that I don't like it when people try and use shame to educate or to change. It just puts me off personally. And yeah, so I don't like seeing that. It irritates me, and there's already so much that's irritating me. You know what I mean? So if there are accounts that amplify your anxiety, it is okay for you to protect your mental space, by the way, right? And then, which is what I'm trying to do today, is to give yourself permission to log off. Sometimes I would feel like I am ignoring the struggle, but I think it's important to preserve the energy that you'll need to keep going. So, for example, there's what's slated to be a big protest next week, Wednesday, I think, on the 25th. I really want to go for that. I want to have as much energy for that. I intend to go for it. I'm just kind of like pacing out my energy from now until then, seeing how much I can give without running on E, because I definitely want to be at that protest. And so even today, I kind of like talk to myself. I'm just like, chick, you are going to have to go easy today, because we want to be able to arrive as full as possible next week, Wednesday. And also, yeah, I want to pace out the energy. So like, I'll take a break today. Tomorrow, I'll probably be able to like catch up on what happened today. What did I miss today? What do I need to amplify? I have a friend who reached out. She runs an incredible business. She wants to raise funds for how to support the protest. And I was like, maybe we raise funds for the medics who just do incredible work free of charge, for the lawyers who are representing protesters who get arrested pro bono or people who get abducted. But those are things that today I'm giving myself a break. I told her, give me a second to think about it. And then tomorrow, I know I'll be able to be like, okay, this is what we need to do, you know? So just like preserving the energy. And that kind of like links into figuring out what your part is. You know, I'm a huge believer that not everybody can be on the streets, and how we serve the rebellion is allowed to look different. And so I've talked about my friend who, runs an incredible business, has incredible networks, and is looking to donate, right, to the protests, because protests, there are costs that show up. And especially when the government is trying to silence you, like you can't rely on any government services, right? Like I mentioned, for medical assistance and legal assistance. There's something else which has happened to me, and it's just like, oh, okay, so I have people who are doing their part. I've had a friend check in on me, literally just saying, hey, there's just so much happening in the news. How are you? Are you okay? Is her chat. I really appreciate that. Like, I saw it. I have my person who, when I'm overwhelmed, I talk to, and we can talk for 4 hours about things that are not linked to the source of the overwhelm, which helps. Like for 4 hours, honestly, we spoke for 4 hours just like a day ago. And I was so, like released. You could share resources and information. Artists and creatives, you can create art that helps us in the resistance and helps us reflect. That is a very valid contribution. And remember, you can rest so that you can return stronger. Your activism is valid even if it doesn't look like someone else's. Like, Please always remember that. Last night I was talking to my manager and she was just like, because we have work, there's work we're doing. And she's like, how are we even coping and hitting deadlines and all of these things in the middle of this shitstorm? And she was like, she's feeling hopeless, right? And I said, you're not hopeless, you're feeling tired. And there's a difference. But let's unpack hopelessness, right? Because sometimes I may not recognize it because I don't think there are moments I am able to be void of hope. I don't understand how, but even in anger, I feel hopeful. Even in I don't know if it's my personality or that I've trained myself to do that, but I will always be hopeful. What changes is the degree, the amount of hope, but the hope is always there. I think it's important to focus on small wins as well, that people showed up to a protest, that there's a conversation that changed their mind, that Kenyans banded together and could, in minutes, find the identity, phone number, cousin, auntie, mother, father of a killer cop. I think even, or how they, Kenyans band together and raise funds in a matter of minutes and just show up for each other. That's always been such an incredible source of hope for me. It's seen as a small win, but it's the biggest win for me, I think even in terms of feeling hopeless, there's a day, a night or two ago, I felt very overwhelmed. And I remembered that I'd read something or watched a video where someone was talking about moving your body helps remove grief from your body. And I have this huge speaker in my room. It's really like a karaoke machine, but huge speaker. And I put it on and I played this song that I just found. It's it's a new song. Let me even get the name. I think it's called Moi, like a kiss, MWAH. And it's by Loje and Adelle. I really love it. And I just put it on, back to back, played for 3 rounds. And I was dancing and moving my body. You could call that friend who always makes you laugh. Joy is resistance, by the way. And it's fuel. It's fuel in this fight, I think it also helps to talk about it. If you're feeling hopeless, put it out there. I think yesterday, which was peak overwhelm, having moments where I was speaking to people about it helped get it out, And then remember that you as an individual, you are more than what's happening around you. You are needed, you are powerful, and more than anything, you are not alone. So, if you're feeling tired, if your hope is shaky, if your mind is loud because of all the chaos around us, I see you. And I think it's important for you to take care of yourself like you're someone you deeply love. And remember that we fight better, louder, and longer when we are well. Whew. Deep breaths, do the 4-4-4. Breathe in for 4 counts. Hold it for 4 counts. Breathe out for 4 counts. Just remember, we fight better, louder, and longer when we are well. Thanks for listening to the Mid-Week Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.